Try and get legislation through the Parliament, maybe even get it through, and have all of the things change in our economy that would then change, only to find at the next election, maybe with a swing in the political cycle, that is all taken away. Okay. That would be dreadful for our economy, and that's why we need this lasting consensus.
Tony Abbott, your response.
Look, I regret to say that there has been a complete failure of leadership from this government and from this Prime Minister. As you said, Chris, she said in November that delay is denial. She said last November that if you can't manage climate, you can't manage the future. Now the Prime Minister says that this is all too hard for our Parliament. It's got to be sent off to a glorified focus group. Well, we have a citizen assembly. It's called the Parliament of Australia. And if the Parliament of Australia can't make these decisions, what is democracy for? So look, I think that the Prime Minister should be very clear about where she stands and how she's going to get us there. And I think that the Prime Minister believes in a carbon price. Senator Brown wants a carbon tax. Thanks to the Green preference deal, there'll certainly be a green balance of power in the Senate. We will get a carbon tax if this government is re-elected, as sure as night follows day.
Laura Tingle.
Mr Abbott, you've declared industrial relations reform essentially off limits for the next term of Parliament in the last week. How does this fit with the productivity agenda, particularly when you're proposing taxes to go up on companies by 3 percentage points?
Laura, I want to make 2 points. The first is that the ultimate conviction of every democratic politician has got to be to respect the electorate. I respect the electorate. I also respect the people out there trying to run businesses. Now, I've spent a lot of time, particularly over the last couple of months, travelling the country, listening to people in business. And what they are telling me is that there has been a lot of change, too much change, they say, over the last few years. And what they want is a period of stability. They say they can live with imperfect laws. What they can't live with is constant change, and so I am going to give them a period of stability.
But Tony Abbott, if you believe that reform is in the interests of boosting productivity, why don't you lead on this? Why don't you convince Australians that this is the way to go?
Well, because, as I said, I respect the verdict of the public, the verdict of the people at the 2007 election. And the Prime Minister will say, she has said repeatedly, that the government's existing laws provide scope for improvements to productivity. Let's give those laws a chance.
Prime Minister, your response.
Well, I think we've seen this week as we went through the farce of Tony signing pieces of paper in a radio studio, only 24 hours later for his spokespeople and his party to come out with a plan which would require changing the Fair Work Act, that all of this is camouflage and it didn't last 24 hours. Tony believes in work choices. Now, I don't agree with him about that, but he does believe in it. He believed in it when he was a senior minister in the Howard government and they delivered work choices. He believed in it when he authored his book, Battle Lines. He believed in it in a large number of public statements since. And the single most important speech you can give as opposition leader, the budget reply speech this year, there was Tony saying aspects of work choices will be back. Well, I believe respect for the Australian electorate requires Tony to come clean on his real plans. He's always believed in work choices. That's a conviction. He always will. And so people should expect, if he is Prime Minister, then the worst aspects of work choices will be back. Obviously, in the Labor Party, in me, it's in our DNA to believe in fair workplace relations. That's why we got rid of work choices and introduced the Fair Work system.
Thank you. Malcolm Farr.
Ms Gillard, your award modernisation process, you said that no employees or employers would be worse off. There have been some workers who've had to apply for some sort of relief because of changes in awards. There's no such facility for employers many of them who are small businesses, they are paying more. Will you change the structure of that, the revamped awards, so that these employers, again I say many of them small businesses, can get some relief as well?
No, Malcolm, I won't be doing that. The Fair Work system that we've introduced, I believe, gets the balance right. And we asked Fair Work Australia, the independent industrial umpire, to do the thing that had been neglected for years and years, and that was to take more than 4,000 old, big awards and modernise them, and we've done that to around 120 simple modern awards. Better for employers because they can find the award that applies to them, better for employees because they can find how they should be paid, and that simplification is literally worth billions of dollars of benefit to the economy, with the benefits of creating a uniform system of workplace relations for the private sector, so you don't have to worry anymore if you're in a state system or in a federal system. Now, in the transition, employees got the benefit of take-home pay orders to make sure that they couldn't lose take-home pay, and employers got the benefit of a 5-year transitional period. I believe that's the appropriate balance. I'm committed to keeping the Fair Work system. I'm the architect of the legislation that went through the Parliament. I believe in it, my government believes in it, the Labor Party believes in it, and the contrast here is between that and Tony's passionate and long-standing belief in work choices.
Mr Abbott, your response.
Well, look, I don't say that the system is perfect, but I think that it's the best that we are likely to get at this time and for the foreseeable future. As I said, I respect the verdict of the people at the 2007 election, and I respect what I've been told by businesses around the country. We have to work within the existing legislation to address the sorts of issues which you've spoken about.
Our next question is from Chris Ullman.
Julia Gillard, you've said that you won't speak about the conversation that you had with Kevin Rudd. Fair enough. You've said you won't speak about what happens in Cabinet. Again, fair enough. But can you give us a simple number? How many times did you warn Kevin Rudd that his government, your government, was on the wrong track before you took his job? Was it once? Was it twice? Was it 3 strikes and you're out? How many times did you tell him, did you warn him before you took his job?
Well, Chris, I'm not going to canvass conversations I had with Kevin Rudd, but I am very happy to say this. I understand that when I became Prime Minister on the 24th of June, that there are a lot of Australians who were pretty surprised, pretty taken aback, that they actually were asking themselves the question, you know, what's happened? What's gone on here? Why has it happened? And I want to answer for Australians the why it's happened. And the truth is, obviously, I worked alongside Kevin Rudd and wanted to deliver good government to this country. Increasingly, I became concerned that the government had become stuck and bogged down in a series of issues. The acrimonious debate about the mining tax, which I thought was putting pressure on mining communities, which wasn't good for our economy. I was also concerned about things like being a sustainable Australia. And from the position of Deputy Prime Minister, I did everything I could, and I worked as hard as I could to try and correct some of the problems that I could see. But it came down to a really difficult choice, and it didn't sit easily with me. It was a hard decision, a really hard decision. But it came down to a choice as to whether I should continue to be of service to Kevin Rudd, or whether I needed to look to my service to the Australian people. It's a hard choice. The choice I made was to be of service to the Australian people. Now, overwhelmingly, my Labor colleagues came to the same decision. And I understand that Australians are still thinking this through, and I understand Tony will make some political points about it. But Tony knows what it's like to think that your political party needs new leadership. That's why he's standing here instead of Malcolm Turnbull. Now, appropriately, the next decision is for the Australian people. When I became Prime Minister, I said I would quickly move to an election to give Australians the choice, and that's what the election on the 21st of August is all about.
But just quickly, Prime Minister, Chris's question is not about what was said in confidentiality, but just how many warnings? Were there 3,